In today's video, we'll uncover the remarkable journey of Asger Warfist, a warrior born on the death world of Fenris, who rose to become the first watch commander of the Deathwatch. Asger's journey, from the unforgiving wilderness of Fenris to the elite ranks of warriors from chapters across the Imperium, is extraordinary even by the standards of the Adeptus Astartes. Fenris, a world as harsh and merciless as the void itself, has given rise to some of the Imperium's fiercest warriors, and Asger Warfist was no exception. His battle-hardened spirit was forged in the fires of survival as he learned to fight and thrive in its brutal landscapes. Rising through the ranks of the Space Wolves, Asger earned the title of Wolf Lord, leading his great company with unbreakable loyalty and fierce duty. Yet, Asger's destiny lay far beyond Fenris. Little did he know that the coming war, known to Imperial historians as the War of the Beast, would call him to a higher purpose, one that would challenge his loyalty and leadership, and ultimately redefine his legacy within the Imperium. The War of the Beast was a conflict unlike any the Imperium had faced since the Horus Heresy. It began when the Orcs, led by an unknown but towering warlord referred to as the Beast, launched a galaxy-spanning assault. This was more than a typical greenskin incursion. This was an organized, intelligent, and devastating campaign aimed at the heart of the Imperium itself. The scale of the invasion echoed the ancient Ullanor crusade, a campaign led by the Emperor himself thousands of years prior. But now, in a post-heresy Imperium, such a threat seemed almost insurmountable. The Orcs of the Beast's armies were unlike any the Imperium had encountered. These weren't just typical mobs, but legions, each led by one of 6 prime orcs, war bosses with intelligence, power, and organization unheard of in greenskin society. Among them, one prime orc towered above the rest, known as the Beast of Beasts, a warlord so massive and formidable that he stood as an embodiment of the orc threat itself. Asger and his space wolves were among the first to meet this unprecedented orc threat, defending an industrial moon called Fabric against the Beast's forces. The battle was brutal, and Asger's warriors faced wave after wave of greenskin forces. But Asger's ferocity and tactical prowess shone through, allowing his great company to repel the horde and secure a vital victory for the Imperium. Yet the conflict was far from over. With Fabric defended, Asger's journey took him to Terra, where he faced an unexpected challenge. His great wolf had summoned him to join Lord Commander Corland, who called upon the Astartes to unify against an overwhelming Xenos threat. Corland recognized that conventional large-scale warfare was failing against the Orc menace. Rather than committing entire chapters to every engagement, he envisioned a different approach, creating specialized kill teams, each composed of elite Astartes hand-picked from various chapters. Corland's plan was to deploy these small, adaptable teams to target high-value objectives, enemy infrastructure, leadership, and other critical points in the Beast's war machine. This strategy required a precise and adaptive force, one uniquely suited to combat the unpredictable resilience of the Orc horde. To bring this vision to life, he sought out Asger Warfist to lead the Deathwatch as its first watch commander. For a space wolf accustomed to his chapter's independence, the idea of leading this mixed force under the Imperium's direct oversight was challenging. Much like his gene-father, Leman Russ, the legendary Wolf King, Asger valued the autonomy and traditions of the Space Wolves. Yet he understood the critical need for a unified response to the Beast's threat. So, despite his reservations, Asger accepted the role, becoming the Imperium's first watch commander of the Deathwatch and leading warriors from Ultramarines, Dark Angels, Imperial Fists, and beyond. As the first watch commander, Asger would need to forge unity among warriors with different traditions, combat styles, and loyalties. Leading these kill teams would require more than just battlefield prowess. It would require diplomacy, trust, and the ability to wield diverse tactics in perfect harmony. Thus, Asger's role went beyond combat leadership. He would shape the Deathwatch into a brotherhood, bound by their shared mission to defend humanity from xenos threats. With his new role as Watch Commander, Asger led the Deathwatch into their first engagements, striking at critical Orc positions to weaken the beast's forces. This series of precision missions, carried out by small, lethal kill teams from different chapters, allowed the Deathwatch to gain ground and disrupt the Greenskins' massive war machine. Under Asger's command, these warriors coordinated their unique skills, overcoming their differences to execute vital, high-stakes missions across contested sectors of the Imperium. But even as the Deathwatch's actions inflicted damage on the Orc forces, it was clear that the beast's empire would require a final, decisive assault. This brought Asger, Corland, and the Deathwatch back to Ullanor, a planet steeped in Imperial history. Ullanor was where the Emperor himself had once defeated the Orc menace in the Great Crusade. Now, this world would once again be the site of an epic confrontation, but with an Orc threat greater than ever before. In the campaign's final days, Asger found himself in the company of legends, fighting alongside Corland, the Lord Commander of the Imperium, and Vulkan, the Primarch of the Salamanders. It was an unprecedented honor for any Astartes to fight beside a Primarch in the post-heresy era, and Vulkan's presence on the battlefield underscored the scale and urgency of their mission. Under Vulkan's decisive leadership, supported by Asger and Corland, the three launched a desperate assault on Ullanor, striking at the heart of the beast's empire. This alliance of space wolves, salamanders, and Deathwatch exemplified the Imperium's unity against an overwhelming threat. But as the battle raged, tragedy struck. The Lord Commander, Corland, who had envisioned and brought together this united force, fell in combat against the towering might of the Beast of Beasts, the largest and most powerful of the Prime Orcs. Watching Corland's sacrifice, Asger felt the weight of the Deathwatch's mission more deeply than ever. Determined to honor his fallen comrade, he took up the mantle, leading his forces to press on against the beast, knowing that Corland's legacy would be preserved through the very organization he had built. For Asger, this was no longer just a temporary alliance. It was now a permanent duty to safeguard the Imperium against all xenos threats. Emerging victorious from Ullanor, Asger Warfist was no longer just a wolf lord. He had become the very foundation of the Deathwatch, guiding it through one of the Imperium's darkest hours. While the Deathwatch had begun as a temporary alliance to face the beast, it had grown into something far more permanent, a shield against xenos horrors across the galaxy. Through his leadership, Asger showed his fellow warriors the importance of unity, even among chapters with starkly different traditions. His pragmatic approach to this role, balancing loyalty to both his chapter and the Imperium, set a precedent that future Watch commanders would follow. He understood that the Deathwatch's mission went beyond his own battles and his chapter's goals. It was a mission for the Imperium itself. With this legacy, Asger became a living symbol of what the Deathwatch stood for: unwavering vigilance and unbreakable resolve. Asger Warfist's legacy continued far beyond his own life. The Deathwatch, forged in the fires of Ullanor, grew into an organization deployed across the galaxy. Watch fortresses were established, manned by veteran Astartes, who carried Asger's lessons into battle. Though he was the first Watch commander, his successors took up the mantle, defending the Imperium with the same relentless determination he had inspired. To this day, in every Watch fortress and Deathwatch strike force, Asger's spirit lives on, a reminder of what it took to forge this order and the sacrifice required to protect humanity from the darkest threats. His loyalty was not just to his chapter, but to the Imperium as a whole, making him one of the most revered figures in Deathwatch history. Asger Warfist's tale is one of duty, sacrifice, and reluctant leadership. A warrior loyal to his pack, he left behind the world he knew to lead a brotherhood of Astartes from all chapters. Through his guidance, the Deathwatch became the Imperium's most dedicated defenders against the ever-pressing Xenos threat. In the end, Asger Warfist became more than just a warrior. He became a legend, a guardian whose legacy echoes through the stars, as the Deathwatch continues to stand guard, forever vigilant.